This is Grace Cho of Artrepreneur. We help creatives succeed. Today we're here with Kevin Swanepoel, CEO of One Club for Creativity. He's been with the nonprofit organization for almost 22 years and CEO since 2015. Not only is he a veteran executive of advertising, he is also an accomplished photographer and drone videographer. His belief is nothing impacts culture like creativity. Thank you for joining us today, Kevin. I wanted to learn a little bit more about your early years and what was the journey that brought you to this point.
So it was really funny because I went to this expo in Durban, my hometown, and I was standing in a line to put forward my plans for this client that I had. And I overheard somebody saying, there's this very lucrative tender that is out for bid, and somebody's going to make a lot of money. And so I tapped the chap in front of me on the shoulder and I said, please tell me more, because I would love to make money. And he turned around and he said, well, there is this bid that's open to paint the entire walls, the outside walls and roof of the expo. It's going to be one of the largest murals and is due to go into the Guinness Book of Records. So he told me where to go. I put a bid in for this and I ended up winning the tender, which was pretty remarkable. Here I was in my early 20s. I then went back to all my college friends and I hired the entire class to come help me at night. We used to take overhead projectors, project all those drawings onto these walls, and then they'd come in with a team of painters the next day and sort of almost like paint by numbers. That was my lucky break. I ended up buying out a small agency in Johannesburg. I managed to pick it up along with all their connections and clients, and I took over this agency, which was just the incredible introduction to advertising and design.
That's great. Now, with such a creative start, how did you get comfortable with the business side of things?
That's actually been a bit of a challenge for me. And in fact, that's the reason why after 14 years, we shut down the agency. I had a fallout with my partner. We had a very big disagreement on how to run the business. And I ended up closing it down and then ended up working for Apple Computer as the publishing, entertainment, and new media manager. That was really interesting because what that helped me do is get a better sense of big organization structure and management, which has really helped me going forward with the One Club. When I started working at Apple, we ended up doing an exhibition for the One Club in South Africa. And then I wrote the CEO note saying, you should also consider starting up a category for interactive advertising, because this thing called the internet and the web, there's going to be advertising on it. And we should have an award show like you have for advertising, television, radio, and print. You should do something like that for digital media. So at a very small board meeting in the summer, they approved my proposal. And then they said, well, you better get this guy to come and run it because we don't really know anything about interactive advertising. So that's how I ended up making the transition from South Africa to New York.
What I love about that story is that you actually took the offensive and suggested a new idea, and that started a whole chain of events.
Grace, I think that's part of my mantra. And what I always talk about is look for opportunities, seek it, constantly learn, push the boundaries, because being creative doesn't need to be that you just take a airbrush or marker or illustrate something. Being creative is also thinking, where do you see opportunity? Push it and really give it your all.
Yes, excellent tip. Yeah, because what have you got to lose? If you get a no, you get a no.
If you are not willing to hear the word no, then I would definitely recommend that you do not get into sort of commercial art or advertising or design, because you will come up with ideas every day and somebody, whether it be your creative director or somebody above you or client, is going to turn around and say, no, go back to the drawing board, do it again. You've got to be a little thick-skinned to be in this game.
What's kept you in the advertising design world all these years?
It's in the core of my DNA. I'm a creative, whether it be doing some interior design, looking at the ways to redesign my home, the objects that I like to collect around me, whether it be photography, illustration, or even just sitting doing a little sketch. It's really in my DNA. So for me, this is not work. This is just who I am.
You've been with One Club for so many years. Can you first describe what it is?
Yes. So, first and foremost, the One Club for Creativity is a nonprofit organization. And a simple way to imagine this, think about the Oscars of advertising and design industry. So, what we do is we reward the best commercials, whether it be television, radio, print, interactive design, you name it. Every discipline of commercial art, we reward that. So, it's a big award show, and we do generate a fair amount of revenue from the entries that people submit their work into our award show. But going back to our purpose, we are a nonprofit. So we like to take that revenue and apply it back to the industry to make it better. Because without somebody championing young creatives and trying to develop the next generation, this industry will stagnate.
Hmm. As the leader of One Club, your entire organization's mission is reaching young creative talents and helping them to achieve their career goals. What trends are you seeing globally or regionally now with the young talents as they try to pursue creative careers?
So I think the one trend that I see is not really a trend of the young creatives, but the industry. The industry has evolved dramatically over the last 2 or 3 years. And what I'm seeing is that the education system that funnels young kids and students into the advertising industry has not kept up with that change. In fact, the ad agencies are struggling to keep up with that change, let alone schools who have got a much longer process of turning around their curriculum. So, what we see is that students are not as well prepared for the industry that is currently here today. People are still being trained for an industry that was here 5 or 10 years ago. The thing that is exciting, though, is that the different areas of design and advertising as a career has expanded incredibly. Today, you could be a designer and go into experiential design or UX design or social media, sound design, gaming design. These things did not exist 10 years ago. The number of jobs that are open and available for a UX UI designer is incredible. So, if you do get a really good foundation in design, the incredible opportunities that are available to you is just much greater than it's ever been.
It's an incredible market now. And you're absolutely right. There are new jobs that didn't exist 10, 20 years ago. So it's very, very exciting. But when you mentioned that they're ill prepared, in what ways are they ill prepared?
They are just not being taught the deeper fundamentals of, say, UI or experience design. If you are a young creative, I think you should look very, very hard at all the options available to you and pick at least a school that gives you the opportunity. One, strong foundation in design and creativity and ideation. And then how can you build on top of that and channel your career into one of the most sought after parts of the industry right now, which could be UX or experiential, social, gaming, mobile, app design, that type of thing.
What advice would you give to creatives as soon as they decide that this is the field that they're going to go into?
I think that the thing that they should be doing continuously is keep on learning, be inquisitive, don't get complacent. Right now, things are changing at such a rate, and I think we're going to see this change accelerate even going further. So, if you are not learning, then you're going backwards. And I'm not just talking about software, because software evolves all the time, but I'm thinking about explore the different avenues, explore the different disciplines. Where are we going now? Because the next frontier is voice, where you've got, Alexa, and you've got Google, you've got Siri, you've got all these other voice devices. UX UI is a very big thing currently. Data is another big frontier. It doesn't sound creative, but you can be creative with data as well.
Are these the observations or advice that you would give to anyone, regardless of region that they come from?
I travel the globe. I do probably 14 countries a year. And this is not an observation of just the US, but certainly anywhere in the globe, whether it be China or India, they're experiencing the same shift in design and advertising. It's just happening in the US probably as the leader, and then it trickles down. But with the global marketplace that we live in, it's so easy. If you see something happening in the US, it's not even a month or 2 months later that people are exploring the same thing in China or India.
As you look at the advertising industry, what are they getting right? And what could they be doing more of or less of?
Agencies are really creative. They are coming up with incredible solutions. And the ROI, in other words, the return for those brands is incredible. If you have a look at what recently happened, there was an independent agency called Droga 5, and it was bought out originally by WME, and then Accenture bought them. This was the biggest acquisition that Accenture has done, to buy this independent, very, very creative, probably the best creative agency out there right now. And they paid a huge sum of money for it because they valued creativity, and they probably couldn't develop a really good in-house creative group. But my point here is that brands are seeing incredible value in really good creative work that's done well, and the return has been amazing. But there's been some big changes in the way work is being given to agencies. We've seen a bit of a shift where there's not just agencies of record, but some of the brands are giving project work only to different agencies. And in doing so, it doesn't allow the agencies to have the sort of deep bench of talent that they can call from. So there's more freelancers being involved. Agencies have to get nimble. They are scaling back on their resource and talent pool, and they're hiring more freelancers to be able to get the skill set required to work on these brands' needs. So agencies are going to need to get or become more nimble as time goes on.
So, One Club is in a very unique position. You sit between the agencies and big employers within this field with the talent. So, tell us about how you are helping the talent get to where they need to be, with particular focus to your support of diverse talent.
We have a number of programs. We take somebody from their start of their career through a program which might be our Saturday career workshops, where we introduce high school students to a possible career in advertising or design. Or we have Young Ones, which is an award show where we help young college students who are in advertising and design get a foot in the door, get seen, be noticed. We give them portfolio reviews, and we try and get them jobs. And then we've got something called Young Guns, which is for those individuals who are under the age of 30, and we try and highlight all the superstars around the industry. And again, these are more creatives that aren't specifically an agency or a design studio, but generally all creative artists, whether it be somebody who's interested in lighting design or illustration, animation, we help them. But one of our biggest projects is our inclusion and diversity department, where we do between 15 and 18 creative boot camps globally. And what that focuses is to try and get those young, diverse creatives who haven't considered a career in advertising and design. We give them an introduction to it. We work with a brand and we work with an agency to create a real world brief. And then we bring together all these creatives and we help mentor them for a week. And we talk them through the steps of, how do you ideate? How do you work with a creative team to actually physically execute on your ideas? And the results have been remarkable. When you receive a letter from a young student saying that you've changed their life, you've given them an opportunity that they didn't even think they'd have, that's what drives me. And it's why we've been doing this for so long.
That is a beautiful story. I love that. Great sense of fulfillment for everybody involved.
On one little other point there, when we have a look at the team that we have here at the One Club for Creativity, we've got people here 10, 15, 12 years, 13 years, and it's because of the rewarding job that we have of really fostering the next generation of young creative talent.
Exactly. It's an incredible organization. Now, if somebody wanted to know more about these boot camps and the programs that you run, do they simply go to One Club website?
Yes, if they just go to oneclub.org, and the boot camps, they're all free. We do not charge for the boot camps. That's something that we give back from the revenue we derive from our award shows. We also do something called Portfolio Night. This year we did it in 25 cities around the globe. Again, they're either free or a nominal fee of probably $5 to $10 to attend. And this gets you seen by all the best and most creative people out there in agencies that can offer you a job.
Are they all conducted in English or in local languages?
It's done in local languages. The ones that we do in China, they're done in Chinese, but we also have English mentors. So there's translators who help facilitate that learning.
Truly a global organization. Very impressive. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and I want to talk about your photography.
That's kind of you. No, I've always dabbled with it and never seriously until I'd say 10 years ago when I found myself on the road all the time. And I try and take a weekend when I'm on the road. And so if I find myself in some exquisite destination, whether it be Mumbai or China or Shanghai, I just love to get out there, take my camera and shoot some pictures. I love people. I love walking the streets, interacting with people. You will walk up to somebody and say, "Can you take your picture?" And you just get into this conversation. So whether it's Burning Man or Turkey, um, I just love to get out there and take some pictures.
I think that's a lovely thing that you just said about connecting with people through photography. It also says a lot about the creative brain, doesn't it? Most creative brains often need several different types of outlets, not just one. And I think you're indicative of that for sure.
This is actually a really great release. I have to say to anybody out there listening, I know some people paint, some people write, some people draw. For me, I love to just pick up a camera and go out, get lost in the streets, in the markets, interacting with people. Because for me, seeing a different culture through the eyes of the locals is absolutely the best thing to do.
Well, they're beautiful. Each picture feels like it has a story behind it. I'm very anxious and curious to see what you do with it in the future.
Well, thank you, Grace. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've just loved this conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
If I can leave you with one last thing, I really think that what you guys are doing at Entrepreneur is so important, giving creatives a voice and giving them the ability to create some avenue for their artwork and get it out there. It's truly amazing. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much. The inspiration that you give to young, talented folks all over the world is tremendous. This is Grace Cho, Artrepreneur. We help creatives succeed.